Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, your lovely faces, to another massive update video here on the channel. So last week we did a couple of videos regarding Scientology and the Danny Masterson case that is currently scheduled for the 11th of October. Now, with this, what I'm going to be reading and showing you today is from the Tony Ortega Underground Bunker email newsletter. And let's just say it's absolutely mind-blowing to what has happened and to see what is going to happen as well with this. But I will leave the link below for you to Tony Ortega's website. It's a phenomenal website, I will say that. I have been on this website nearly for the last 3 weeks solid, and I'm just getting so much info on it, it's absolutely crazy. But like we said, last week we gave out a video and we said that Marty Singer, who is a legendary entertainment lawyer, he was being summoned and subpoenaed by the courts. Now, we were there and we were thinking that, why is he being summoned and why is he being subpoenaed? What has he got to say? Well, according to the email, the reason is, it turns out that's not quite the case, that he was subpoenaed. The fact is, the truth is much more juicier. Now we're going to jump into it. So, on Wednesday last week, a hearing was held in the Masterson criminal case at Judge Charlene Almeida's courtroom, and we now have a copy of the court transcript and the pleadings by both sides. And we can tell you that with only a few weeks to go before Danny's trial, some very interesting things are emerging as both sides jockey for position. The subpoena that both sides were fighting over turns out not to be for Marty Singer himself, but for documents in his possession. How does the prosecution know that Singer had these documents they want to see? Because of what Singer said in a grand jury testimony. Yes, we have told you in the past that we suspected that a grand jury was looking at the Danny Masterson case. Now we have proof of it. In his pleadings and in Wednesday's hearing, prosecutor Reinhold Muller revealed that a county grand jury, that's a bit of a mouthful, has been looking at Masterson in both its 2018-19 and 2019-2020 sessions. January 30th, 2020, Danny Masterson's longtime entertainment attorney, Marty Singer, was called down to testify, as was Jane Doe 1's Marcy's law attorney, Nina Hawkinson. The target of the investigative grand jury hearing was Daniel Masterson. Muller said in the pleading, based on quotes from his testimony that Muller included in his pleadings, there was considerable time spent on a particular 2004 document, the agreement hammered out between Masterson and the woman going by the name Jane Doe 1. So if you remember with that as well, we actually did that ourselves on here. We went through a lot of stuff and we were saying that she went to the police, but then Scientology literally hounded her and they were like, no, we're going to make you sign this non-disclosure agreement and this, basically, you got to take responsibility for it. That is come back to bite him in the ass because, as you'll see, as it does go on, we've been telling you about the agreement since almost the beginning of our reporting in 2017. Masterson, the That 70s Show actor and Scientology celebrity, is facing charges that he forcibly did this to 3 women, all Scientologists at the time, between 2001 and 3. He's been charged under California's strict one-strike law. If he's convicted of all of these, he faces 45 years to life in prison. One of the 3 alleged victims is Chrissy Carnell Bixler, who dated Masterson and also appeared on That 70s Show. The other 2 women are going by the names Jane Doe 1 and 2. All 3 have testified that they did not come forward sooner in part because they feared retaliation by the Church of Scientology. If you remember, we actually talked about that, saying that one of them had their dogs gone. As you can see, one of them, Jane Doe, did go to the LAPD in 2004 saying this. Scientology then swamped the police with statements by Scientologists claiming that Jane Doe 1 was a liar. Now, with that as well, if you remember, they've basically gone and said, oh, she's a liar, you can't trust her. But Danny Masterson, he's an actor. He's a celebrity. He wouldn't lie. He wouldn't do anything bad because he's given millions of dollars a year to the church. That's why they stuck up for him and not for Jane Doe 1. But on the video I released the other day as well, I believe it was either yesterday or Friday, and we saw so many things regarding this going on. You had the people coming over, foreign aid workers from different countries. They were coming in, they were doing slave labor for hours and hours on end, sometimes more than 24 hours. And the majority of the women who were there, they were all harmed, and they were told to take responsibility, and the church punished them. This is what the church does. It's not a church, it's a cult. I will stick by that for the rest of my days. After the district attorney decided not to charge Masterson after a month-long investigation, Jane Doe 1 testified that she was then pressured by Masterson's attorney, Marty Singer, Scientology's attorney, Kendrick Moxon, and a Scientology ethics officer named Julian Swartz to sign the agreement with Masterson, which included a non-disclosure agreement. Jane Doe 1 testified last year that she was pressured to sign the 2004 agreement, or she would be declared a suppressive person by Scientology, and it would cost her a contract, itchy leg, with her own family. Yeah, if you get classed as a suppressive person by Scientology, they're basically saying, you're no longer part of us, get lost, your family cannot speak with you or contact you again. Deputy DA Mueller revealed that in the grand jury session, Singer was asked about the agreement, which was signed after a mediation that took place between September 15th and 18th in 2004. Remember that date, September the 15th. Singer also told the grand jury that during that time, he had talked to Danny's publicist, Jenny Weinman, and his assistant, Bri Schaefer. Now, Bri Schaefer, this by here, that date really grabbed us. Why? Bri Schaefer is actually married to Michael Penner. Michael Penner is an Ant-Man, and he's in, Shooter with Mark Wahlberg, and he's in a lot of stuff, this guy. December 2020, Tony Ortega revealed that Danny Masterson and his assistant, Bri Schaefer, made suspicious-looking property swaps, with Masterson giving Schaefer 2 multi-million-dollar apartment buildings. 7 months later, she gave them back to him. Yeah, that's fraud. One suggestion is Masterson put the buildings in his assistant's name was that it was an attempt to keep them out of reach of Jane Doe 1 in case she wanted to sue him. Now, we have to wonder if there was a different reason. Look again at what Marty Singer said in the grand jury. The mediation began on September 15th. Singer said that Bri Schaefer was a part of those talks. When did Danny put the $2 million buildings into Bri Schaefer's name according to property records? September 15th, 2004. This is insane. This is how far these people will go now. Literally, they're going in and out, ducking and diving. Right, okay, if she sues me, she can't have any of the buildings. I'm going to put them in your name. That's what they've done. And it's like, yeah, it's illegal, you know? At the top of the list of documents that Mueller says he wants, based on what Singer said to the grand jury, is a copy of the agreement itself. It turns out that even though Jane Doe 1 was a signer of it, she has testified that Singer never gave her a copy of it. Her Marty's law attorney, Nina Hawkinson, told the grand jury she had tried to get a copy from Marty Singer, but he told her she wasn't allowed unless she signed a non-disclosure agreement. She declined. I wonder why, they don't want to give it to Jane Doe, so they got it to go forward. They just don't want it. It's insane that these people are acting like this. Both of the attorneys representing Masterson in the hearing on Wednesday seem perplexed by this. Both Brettler, who represents Masterson in the civil harassment lawsuit filed by his accusers, and Philip Cohen, who will be defending him in the trial, expressed surprise to Judge Almeida that Jane Doe didn't have her own copy of the agreement. Why was that? They didn't tell his own lawyers that she never had her own copy of the agreement. But they should probably be asking Marty Singer that question, as Jane Doe 1 has testified that he never allowed her to have a copy of her own agreement. It's getting juicy, guys. Why? What's in this document that is so secret? Even Danny Masterson isn't named in it. He used an alias, David Duncan. Although both Brittler and Cohen seemed surprised that Jane Doe didn't have a copy, they both tried to talk Judge Almeida out of giving a copy of it to the prosecution. And if they did, Cohen argued she should prevent Mueller from showing it to Jane Doe. What makes them so nervous about this document, which is very, very true? Why? Is it the terms that spell out what penalty Jane Doe would face if she violated it and went public? In other words, a powerful reason for why she wouldn't want to go again to the police, and a powerful argument against the defense's contention that she is simply motivated by trying to get money out of Masterson with the lawsuit. Or is there something in it about Scientology's involvement that the church doesn't want her to see? There's so many things regarding this that is currently coming out. It does make you think, what is going on? Because when you see this and the stuff we've seen this guy here do, David Miscavige, the way he acts, the way he treats people, if you don't, let him win at a board game or something, he's gonna go literally, Wrath of Khan on you. He's just gonna go just ballistic. He's gonna make you do horrible things. And that's, to me, that's little man syndrome. Because this guy's like 5'1", which to me is like, comes up to like my chest, like by here, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Because like, I was like, what are you gonna do, But people have said, they've seen him go after big guys. And it's like, well, that's because they allow it, It's like, come on. But with this here, it does go on. Mueller, the prosecutor, argued that the defense had already made the 2004 agreement fair game when Cohen's predecessor, Tom Mesereau, I do apologize, repeatedly asked Jane Doe 1 about it in the preliminary hearing in May 2021. Once he used the 2004 agreement as a sort of prop in cross-examination, he had opened the door to the prosecution getting a copy of the document. Mueller argued, yeah, we saw the same thing in the Johnny Depp trial. It wasn't until AH brought up Kate Moss that his team were like, yes, she's brought it up, we can now go and get Kate. Judge Almeida agreed. She decided on Wednesday to order the defense to turn over a copy of the 2004 agreement to the prosecution under seal. Yeah, we're not going to see that. But she said that the prosecution can share it with Jane Doe 1, the thing that Danny's attorneys were so opposed to. What's in it? I really want to know what's in it, guys. I really do. She also found that whatever communications Masterson's publicist, Weinman, and assistant, Bree Schaefer, had with Singer were not covered under attorney-client privilege because Singer was Masterson's attorney, not theirs. The government brief seeks to bring in Scientology, the ways and means of Scientology. The government brief seeks to bring in, by my account, at least 27 incidents of quote-unquote this, in whatever various forms, that are the gravamen of the civil case. The government noticed me last Thursday of an expert witness regarding Scientology. It's the first I've heard of that. If those things are coming in a trial in 3.5 weeks, there's absolutely no way I can prepare for that. That's what he said. Judge Almeida said she hadn't had time to look at the briefs yet, but said she would keep his question in mind, but were left reeling by Cohen's statement. And I do have the statement by here as well, but seeing this by here is just that they want to bring in Scientology. This is what they want to do, and they don't like it because, again, we've seen so many other things come in where people want to bring in Scientology, and they've currently got a petition with the Supreme Court in America, and it's just like, this is mad. Say we showed it. It's I think it's like a 90-odd page document where they're like, oh, Scientology should not be allowed to go here. We should not allow to have our things out there. Nah, sorry. But what it is by here, as it does say at the bottom, but we're left reeling by Cohen's statement. The statement is this. The government has evidence of 27 incidents of these victims by Scientology. And as Cohen is right to suggest, that's the very point of the civil lawsuit. In 2019, Chrissy Carno Bixler, her husband Rocker Cedric Bixler Zavala, the two Jane Does, and another accuser, Bobette Riles, they sued Masterson and Scientology for what they said was a harassment campaign after they came forward to the LAPD in 2016. Scientology has ridiculed this lawsuit, saying it has no merit and that the plaintiffs are complaining about the tough breaks of urban living and that there was nothing to their allegations. Now, with that there as well, it does go on a little bit more because what we're going to have a look at now is absolutely mind-blowing. And this is what I like to see. Marty Singer also made a huge admission in his grand jury appearance that Mueller happened to include in one of his pleadings. Mr. Singer testified that he has represented other clients who are members of the Church of Scientology, and on some occasions, they've agreed to pay the legal fees for those clients on particular matters, but stated he is not aware if they paid for Masterson's legal fees in the mediation matter. Why is this so huge, and why, like we said, back by here, you know, that there is going on, and why this just absolutely amazing to what he said? There it is, black and white. The Church of Scientology has used tax-free money to pay the legal fees of some of their celebrities who are represented by Marty Singer. That is huge. Even though this entire thing is absolutely mind-blowing, you know, all these people going to court. You've got David Miscavige being called in front of a grand jury now. He has to do it. They've ordered him. You know, they've summoned him, literally. But then, when you see that Marty Singer's like, oh no, yes, Scientology has paid for it. Well, Scientology is a religion. Scientology does tax-free because they're classed as a religion and it doesn't go to David Miscavige or anything. Why is Church of Scientology paying for the celebrities and not the other people? The normal people? Because they know that this can bring them down. This is going to be a very explosive trial. This one's going to be as well. Mostly because, again, it's Scientology. You know, people are they're very spooked, and they're also very interested in Scientology just because of what it is. It amazes people, and it's very perplexing as well, because when you see it, and you're like, that's a church? That's what they're doing? How can they get away with this? And in matter of fact, when you see like David Miscavige, like, you know, this guy here, you know, who's 5'1", and he's just absolutely tiny. This guy classes himself, well, you know, he's not classes himself. He's actually got it. He's the CEO of the Church of Scientology. He's the chairman. It's like, so you're a company then, you know? Company chairman, you know, CEO, chief executive officer, and all this kind of stuff. You know, people could say, well, the Pope is whatever. No, the Pope's the Pope. That's the head of the church. He's the head of Scientology. He shouldn't be calling himself a chairman or a CEO. But that's for a different video for a different time. But at the end of the email as well, it does go on to say, obviously, regarding that this is going to be huge, mostly because we've now found out that Scientology pays the lawyers. We've also seen that Scientology will go to no ends to try and stop people from saying how horrible and what they do to people. And they won't even give a document that you sign that is your agreement to you. Because what's in that document? It's going to be very interesting and very explosive when we do find out. If you are new to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for future updates, and I'll see each and every one of you soon.